Kelly. All right. Let me see. Hello, everyone. I'm just double and checking here. All right, yes, we are live. So, hello everyone, welcome to FBA Shipping King YouTube channel. Today I'm gonna have Chelsea Cohen from SoStock and Liz Donning from Techiametrics. Welcome, ladies. Very happy to have you with me today.
Thanks for having us.
All right, perfect. So I'm sure all of you know who Liz is, who Chelsea is. I'm gonna ask them still to do a brief introduction and what they are expert about. And today I want to focus on a lot of different topics. As you know, Forsket is an international logistic expert, and Chelsea is the one of the most I think important person. Talk about profitability, inventory management, and obviously the full visibility of your dimensions, how you can find, how you can save like cents, dollars in today's world. And then Liz is gonna tell us like how we can use that extra savings on to advertise. There are a lot of things changing in the market according to Amazon, the consumers, new marketplaces are coming to the game. More importantly, the CPC costs are increasing a lot. So it's all about like the inventory management, profitability, and obviously exiting the business successfully. So let me introduce you, Liz and Chelsea. We start with Chelsea, and then we continue with Liz.
Sure. Yeah. So I started as a seller in 2014 and had problems with inventory. So I ended up developing an inventory software called SoStock, which has been around. We launched in 2019. And so we've been really working with sellers for that, for several years now on inventory management and then how it pertains to profitability and what are those areas where people aren't taking advantage of increasing profitability that can really help you in your business.
Okay, perfect. And Liz?
I'm Liz Downing. I'm the Senior Marketing Manager of Partnerships and Events at Techiametrics. So Techiametrics is an advertising optimization platform. We've got experts in the loop. We use AI in our software, and we really dig in and try to make sure you're profitable in terms of your ads and that you're increasing new to brand sales. You're doing all the things that you need to do to compete on Amazon, Walmart, and other marketplaces. Sorry, there's a hole in my ceiling and there's a thing that just fell down that I was trying to cover it with.
It's okay.
The perils of working from home. I'm sort of a generalist in that I do know about advertising, but I like to look at a brand's presence as a whole. And that's why I love what Chelsea does, because inventory management is one of the most difficult parts of things. But the profitability piece on what she speaks on is so important, because obviously with advertising, you have to focus on profitability too. You can spend a whole bunch on ads. You can get a whole bunch of ad sales, but if you're killing your margin with your advertising, then you're in trouble. And we do a lot of talking amongst ourselves in the industry provider space, talking about sellers that hit that $1 million mark. They hit the 7, 8, 9 figures, but if they can't afford, as Carlos Alvarez likes to say, to put gas in their car, then there's obviously something operationally that's wrong. So I like to talk about how to look at your business holistically and how to treat your e-commerce business like a business, because I feel like we're so niche, right? Us in the seller world, brands that are selling on e-commerce marketplaces, it feels like a whole new world, even though it's not the Wild West of like 2014 anymore. But you really have to approach your business like a business and looking at profitability, looking at your operations, making sure everything's buttoned up. You're following Amazon policy, you're following Walmart policy, you're following any policy of any marketplace that you're looking on is important too. So, you know me, I'll talk about anything.
Absolutely. I mean, I totally agree. So many things before COVID, after COVID change. I think now international logistics, supply chain, profitability is one of the most important thing, especially this year, with the inflation around the world, the demand decrease, obviously. And then now people start talking about more profitability. I think that's where Chelsea and I feel lucky that people talk about something that it's never been their favorite, right? Like, talking about or doing inventory management thing, reading the business reports. 2 years ago, all of my friends or all of our customers, they were like, oh yeah, I sold this much. Nobody really looked at the profit because everything was going well. So Chelsea has silent profit killer term. I'm going to ask first her to explain that, what she means with that, why it's so important. And Chelsea, where do you see what Liz said, like brands? I think that's where the game is going. A lot of marketplace, especially Amazon, still has a lot of opportunities. But obviously, Amazon is, I think, also want to be in a place people enjoy the shopping. They have a great customer experience. That's what Amazon now focusing on. They have key account managers for big brands. They help them to expand to other marketplaces. They want to become like really good partners with the brand. So where do you see that, Chelsea, the game changing? How companies can become brands, and where do you see the profit and your silent profit killers term in this marketplace?
Yeah. I mean, in terms of becoming brands, I think it has a lot to do with, what was said earlier about becoming businesses or looking at your company as a business, not just looking at the top line revenue, but the ability to scale and create a product line has a lot to do with the profit and the cash flow within your business. You can't just launch a couple of SKUs and hope that becomes a brand. So profit is the key to scale. Profit, cash flow, and inventory has a lot to do with that. But it really is focusing on just clawing back profit any way that you can. And there's a lot of places that I refer to as the silent profit killers. We've talked a lot about in the past years. We've talked about getting terms or negotiating with your supplier. We've talked about like what Liz is going to speak on, saving money in terms of optimizing your advertising. What hasn't been as discussed is the supply chain and being able to save money across the supply chain, being able to reduce your FBA fees, especially since 2021 when the entire fee structure changed. And then again, this past year when Amazon upped the ante with more fees and higher fees. Finding ways to reshape your business to find profit and cash flow that has been being sucked out of your business over the past couple of years.
Absolutely. Same with the international logistics, and then even the buying prices from China. So many people start complaining about the raw material price increase a lot. Chinese RMB depreciated again, US dollar a lot recently, but it actually got really strong last year. And then the cost of manufacturing increased a lot. And then what was very interesting was people start like factories in China, they go to Amazon, they sell it directly. They cut off all the sellers. They see that one of their good customers, they sell a lot on Amazon. They're like, oh, why don't we go and sell it directly? But then they understand the game is also not like that. So Liz, when people save money on their supply chain or maybe the FBA fees, when they have an extra budget this year, everybody's looking for that extra money. And then the borrowing money is also very expensive right now. The interest rates are very high. A lot of lenders, they're more careful with like who they're lending the money. We saw that in the aggregator space that last 2 years they had like so much investment, but this year now it's all about like how they can maximize the profit instead of like growing more. So where do you see the companies when they save that extra money, where they should be spending on? Where's the market going? Because I know that everyone start talking about like outside traffic, but do they really maximize their profit, and did they really maximize their ad budget in the marketplaces? Then they should be looking outside. A lot of companies, a lot of brands are actually confused about this.
Oh, it's so complicated. That's the thing, is that you can't just go in and set it and forget it and throw it. Like, you can't do the spray and pray method on marketplaces and in terms of your off-platform advertising into whatever marketplace you're selling on. Takeometrics has gotten very into omni-channel. We see the opportunity on Amazon. It's still huge. People still shop on Amazon. I still shop on Amazon. I moved a year ago, and the the delivery people are like, what's wrong with you? I guess I order more Amazon packages than anybody in my neighborhood. But but we also were one of Walmart's first API partners, and we have a lot of brands that are selling on Walmart, and there is a huge opportunity on Walmart as well. There are differences between Amazon and Walmart. Obviously, it's different audience. Your pricing structure needs to be strategic. Your listings need to be different than they are on Amazon. But there's opportunity with advertising in that CPCs are lower on Walmart. Walmart did switch to second price auction in 2022. Originally, it was like really price prohibitive to advertise on Walmart. And we do see a lot of brands that were around then. They were selling on Walmart then, and they were like, no, we're not going to advertise on Walmart. It's too expensive. And they don't realize that things changed in 2022. And there were a lot of changes to Walmart advertising in 2022. So, but each platform has a different ad strategy. And then now we're adding the whole driving traffic off platform to platforms with tools like TikTok, with social ads, with organic SEO on Google. It's a whole strategy that you have to approach, and you have to do it in a smart way. And you have to focus on profitability. You have to think about the total cost of your advertising sales. You have to think about the return on your ad spend, those acronyms that I try not to throw out when I do a public presentation, tacos, ROAS. I remember we did an Ad Max, the first Ad Max we did in January of 2022, and somebody wrote in a comment that said, you need to do a glossary of all of these acronyms because I have no idea what you're talking about. And luckily, we have one. So we sent it to them. But depending on where you are in your selling journey, your strategy needs to be different, right? So if you're launching a product, then you're going to have a different ad strategy than if you're trying to fight competitors, if you're trying to gain market share, if you're trying to increase new to brand. It's all different. And we talk a lot about a full funnel approach to advertising where you're trying to hit those people with an intent to purchase. And there's a whole strategy around that. And then there's trying to build brand awareness. And on Amazon in particular, I know that one thing that we've seen is a reluctance for brands to explore that full funnel approach and the different Amazon ad products. Because I mean, at the end of the day, sponsored products that's your intent to purchase. That's the bottom of the funnel. And that's where most people's ad spend goes. But there's so many more opportunities right now than there were previously with sponsored brand ads.
Yeah.
And the new products that Amazon has introduced, sort of opening the floodgates to DSP.
There's so many different ways to differentiate yourself and actually increase the sales. Not only everyone's like, going after the CPC, I think like you can do a lot of more. You can develop more strategies in different marketplaces, often on Amazon, and you can try to drive more traffic and be more profitable, actually.
Well, and you can be smarter about the way you approach this, right? I mean, like shopper behavior, and you and I, before we went live, we talked about like, let's talk about consumers. Let's talk about the end user. Let's talk about buyers, because that's what Amazon cares about. That's what the brands we work with care about. They care about delivering great products to consumers and making lots and lots of money on online marketplaces, right? I mean, that's just in a nutshell the name of the game. But Amazon is trying to, with the invention of Marketing Stream, right? Like for instance, at Takeometrics, we introduced hourly bidding. So you set a budget based on shopper behavior. You can be done with your budget early in the day, and for the rest of the day, you're out of money on a particular campaign. With hourly bidding, you can have more control over your campaigns so that you can actually meet buyer behavior as it happens. Right. Amazon, and I don't want to get too in the weeds with it, but the point is that Amazon is trying to provide tools to brands to meet consumer demand.
Right.
and has given the opportunity through different types of sponsored brand ads and sponsored brand video, sponsored display, to get in front of new customers, to get in front of your competitors' customers, to slide into your competitors' listings. It's very, very competitive, but there are so many different opportunities to showcase your brand. And it didn't used to be like that. I mean, if you think back to when Chelsea started So Stocked, when she was selling on Amazon in the beginning, the opportunities to showcase your brand and to get in front of new consumers wasn't as great.
Yeah. Do you think, I mean, Liz, it's just like so much like wider, when we go to the events, people are talking about, okay, this is what you need to do step by step. It's not working out that way, right? We all actually know it. Obviously, there are so many experts talking on different events. They have a lot of content outside, but people need to test things and see what works for them in the different marketplaces, even day-to-day changes. But when there are so many options like this, Chelsea, do you think managing their inventory, understanding, especially we're talking about companies with over 100 SKUs, they start going after different marketplaces. They want to maximize their inventory. We know that last 1 or 2 years, inventory is moving way slower than a few years ago. And do you think that also managing the inventory, understand the profitability, because more campaigns, more places to advertise your products, your catalog, your brands. Do you feel companies really understand what it takes when it comes to managing their profit and inventory as well? How do you think they can actually connect those two dots? Because it's something we do a lot of things behind the scenes, when it comes to international shipping, fulfillment, but more importantly, before the product goes to the production line, they need to start planning the inventory. They need to start creating the money that they actually can put down the money. They can place the order. They can receive it to their warehouse, the fulfillment center, even Amazon FBA. How do you think that companies understanding this, taking serious to spend more money on the other omni channels?
Yeah, so I talk about something that I call inventory-minded marketing, and that's the marriage of the inventory team and the marketing team, which in the past hasn't been properly coordinated. And a lot of times you have companies that they're in conflict. I've talked to companies where the marketing team gets frustrated because they're running out of stock, and the inventory team is telling the marketing team to slow down. And the marketing team says, our job is to not slow down. Our job is to drive sales. You need to be on top of it. And it's just because they're not talking. So the marketing team needs to communicate to the inventory team what is happening, right? We're doing these plans, and we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know how it's going to impact things, but you can give, an estimate. And then the other side, the inventory team needs to tell the marketing team when they're running low on stock or when something has happened in the supply chain. And then the marketing team knows that they need to stop, take their foot off the gas on certain things. Then, they're not wasting ad spend, because if you're going to stock out and you're driving a bunch of sales at a reduced profit margin because of ad spend, that's, a little bit foolish. But it's done often because the marketing team doesn't have that transparency.
Sometimes sometimes the founder of the companies or the CEOs, the owners, they see that the sales numbers are not as high as the previous years, and they're like, we need to make more sales. But then when you make more sales, then you need to bring more inventory in, right? And you need to have a better cash flow. Where do you think companies are actually under optimized for profitability? Where do you think the main idea that they fail in this operation? And then also the communication with their catalog kit teams, like marketing teams and the supply chain team. Where do you see the missing link between this supply chain and marketing teams?
Yeah, so that's the other side of inventory-minded marketing. Is inventory has tended to be a very reactive side of the business. They're reacting to what's happening in the marketing side. For them to become proactive is giving data, not just the data on what's going to stock out, but giving them data on here are the products that are not doing well, that are should be liquidated. We should get some of this capital back, get some of this cash flow back into the business, because what's happening is you're either using your slow sellers, your overstock, your liquidation products as cash flow generation to go back into the business to scale faster, or it's sucking money out of your business with storage fees. So that's where, silent profit killers come into play, is that we know one side of the business, we know what happens to the landed cost, we know what happens with stockouts, but the silent part of the silent profit killers is the money that's leaching out of your business every single month that you're not paying attention to. And then you have aged inventory, which hits at 6 months. And there are some people who are sitting on, a bomb that is about to go off in their business. I've seen people have, pay thousands of dollars a month in aged inventory fees. Over the course of a year, you could be sitting on 4 or 5 figures worth of storage fees that are just a business killer. So that data needs to go to marketing so that marketing can do something about it before it becomes an emergency.
Liz, how do you navigate? Like, how do you actually help the brands then, when they approach to you, your firm, and then they're like, yeah, we have like $50,000, $100,000 budget. But do you actually even ask them, hey, is this like a healthy? Can you continue with that? I know that there's so many brands, they go very aggressive with the marketing budget, and then they're like, oh, really? We don't really have that much money anymore. What is the healthy way of planning this? Because inventory management, we're talking about 3 years ago, before COVID, you could get the money back from Amazon in 90 days to 100 days. The average production time is 30 days, shipping time is 30 days. Amazon checks in immediately. You start selling it pretty well, and then you start collecting the money. But now we're looking at around 6 months, maybe, time of like cash management. And now we know that fulfillment centers are checking in slower than the previous months. So where do you see that? Like, how do you need to keep it healthy and continuous growth? Some of the brands, I feel they panic because of the, sales went down because of the, all the inflation, or search terms are like lower, or maybe they want to do a little bit more outside retail shoppings. Where do you see brands that understand this marketing budget and use it, and how do you help them to navigate these budgets?
Well, I mean, back to that whole idea of operational excellence, and to put a point on what Chelsea said, if you're sitting on lots and lots of aged inventory, that not only is a business killer, but that's really killing metrics within Amazon that will impact your opportunity on Amazon. So I'm sure Chelsea has done plenty of content on the Inventory Performance Index, but in addition to it having a financial impact on your business, it's also hurting your Amazon account. So we do take a look holistically at the health of an Amazon account, and we don't make budget recommendations until we have a full picture of what a business is looking like. So we don't let somebody roll in with a great big wad of cash and just throw it at a bunch of different ad types and hope it works. There's strategy involved, and there's no one size fits all solution to any of this, to inventory management, to reputation management, to advertising, to marketing, to listing optimization. Every single piece of your e-commerce business is specific to your e-commerce business. Now, there are best practices. Don't get me wrong. It's not like
it's more like a full picture now. It's like not only like one part, not only inventory management or international shipping, not only marketing anymore. Whenever we talk to the brands also, or aggregator side, they kind of want to have better visibility, and then they want the team members to talk to each other, understand what's going on. Chelsea's right. You drive so much traffic, you spend so much money, but then you know that your best-selling SKU maybe will be out of inventory, but then what's the reason of actually doing it, right? But do you guys feel there's a difference between managing like Amazon Marketplace and other marketplaces? Chelsea, do you feel any shifting? Do you feel brands, they want to create additional revenue? That's all about it right now, that they want to increase their revenue. They want to bring the numbers where they were like 2 years ago. Obviously, it's not very easy. Do you feel Chelsea, you under SawStock, you work with a lot of big brands. Where do you see their position? How they wanna maybe add a new marketplace, new revenue. Where do you see whether they kind of wanna maximize expanding to different marketplaces within Amazon? Are they looking for new marketplaces? There's so many people, they talk to us in events and say, hey man, I used to make like $2 million. Now I'm down to like 1.5. I have a lot of SKU. I don't really do anything. What do you recommend? So I would like to get like both of your recommendation for the people who are not in the as high as before selling on Amazon.
I mean, most people are still, still heavy into Amazon. Like the majority of their sales come from Amazon, but they are starting to get into the other marketplaces, Shopify and Walmart being the top marketplaces that they go into, and then other Amazon marketplaces. It's important to not, to know what you're getting into when you're going into these other marketplaces. It's similar to going into other Amazon regions. Your supply chain and your inventory becomes a lot more complex, especially with Walmart not allowing you to fulfill through Amazon. So you have to have a separate location. A lot of times nowadays with the fee changes, it doesn't make sense to fulfill Shopify Walmart.
That also adds up to your budget, like that additional 3PL, additional truck fees. A lot of people, they don't even include that to their profit margins, actually.
Well, you've got WFS, which is so much. I mean, now when you apply for a Walmart seller account, you're just automatically enrolled in WFS. So that's a game changer in terms of what kind of heavy lift you have as a business if you're going to start selling on Walmart. But I'll let Chelsea continue.
But then you need to manage two different type of inventory. Then you need to have two different type of profitability calculation, because each of them has a different fees, different shipping fees. So you need to have like, both understanding, and eventually you're going to have like one budget most probably.
It's important to, it's different. It's just another way to split your time and attention. And, the logistics battle of these marketplace giants, Amazon has always ruled on that. But to Liz's point, Walmart has their own fulfillment network now, and they're putting a lot behind increasing that fulfillment network. They're starting to leverage their superstores for fulfillment. And Shopify has put a lot of time and attention on this. They, are working with, Deliver. They had purchase Deliver, and now they've, sold it off to, I believe it's not Freightos, but that the other company. I don't know why it's slipping my mind, but they have been partnering with companies, logistics companies and warehousing companies and fulfillment companies. There's a lot of work going on in the marketplace space with logistics and fulfillment.
Yeah. Liz, do you see a big, now all of our companies, we have, great softwares, and now we collect a lot of data. How data driven your clients are when it comes to, using the marketing budgets? Do you feel like they can't understand where they need to use the data compared to previous years, today's? And, you mentioned that Amazon has a lot of new marketing tools. Like, they want you to use influencers. They want you to be brands, right? They don't want you to be anymore in and out. They want you to grow within Amazon. They help you to expand different marketplaces. Like selling on Amazon Canada is a great idea, in my opinion. Like, same language, very similar import regulations. You can send the shipments directly from China, from US, to fulfillment centers, or you can have a 3PL there. Your rating, your reviews will be transferred. So it's a great way to, add up some revenue. How do you see like companies are using this data and then, understanding where they should be going, like expanding it, different marketplaces? Where do you see this game is going actually, this 2023?
Well, I mean, if you're not using data to make business decisions, then you're making business decisions by throwing a dart at a dartboard, right? I mean, you absolutely have to use data to make any decision about your business. I'm sure Chelsea will back me up on this. You can't make inventory. I'm just going to order this much. I don't know why. That just feels like the right amount to order.
3 years ago, a lot of people did that. Not anymore.
I had a great aunt once that would never follow directions and didn't really know where she was going, but she would say, that guy looks like he knows where he's going, and she'd just drive behind him. That's not how you should run your business, no matter what your business is. I mean, but especially an e-commerce business, and especially if you're thinking about omnichannel expansion, it has to be data driven. You have to do your homework. You have to do your research. One thing that I stress to brands that are talking to me about going omnichannel or looking at a new international Amazon marketplace, even Amazon Canada, I'm like, do some localization, do your homework. Do you think there's opportunity for your product there? It's not, one marketplace might not be right for every product. I don't know if you guys follow Yana from YLT Translations on LinkedIn, but she posts these neat little snippets about, let me tell you a story about this product that tried to launch on this international marketplace, and this is why it didn't succeed. There was one about disposable diapers in Japan in the 70s. And I thought that one was really interesting. But that's a good point in that it takes, I mean, obviously with advertising, we pull in your data, we look at your sales, we look at everything to help you make good decisions about your advertising. But with every other part of your business, there's information out there. There's information about your competitors. There's information about what keywords are working for your competitors. There's information about sales velocity of your competitors. There's information on other marketplaces about similar products that have done well. I mean, without the data, you cannot make decisions. And if you are, then I applaud you because you've made it this far.
Yeah.
And can still afford Wi-Fi to watch this. But no, I mean, everything has to be a data-driven decision.
Yeah, there's actually even information about the fees that your competitors are paying. You know, if you are wondering what the fulfillment fees are that your competitors are being charged because you want to see if you can get into a lower fee tier for fulfillment fees, you can just very easily plug your competitors' ASINs into the FBA fee calculator, which is, you just search FBA fee calculator and it's on Amazon's, site. Just plug in their ASIN, it'll pull up what fees. And if they're paying less in fees, they're probably doing something packaging wise that's different than what you're doing. You should probably buy their product and look at what they're doing, because if they have a better pricing than you do, it may be because their fees are lower. And if you were to change something about your fee structure, you could be more competitive in your pricing.
I 100% agree. And one of the questions that I hear a lot is what people should be doing when they have few, like let's say several SKUs, and it's not making money anymore. They try to relaunch, it's not working out, it's expensive. Some of the CPC costs and the main keywords go up to if it's a short tail, but main keyword is $7-8 it goes up to sometimes. A lot of people are bidding on that, and then it's becoming like more and more less profitable or not profitable. Some people are losing money, but they're like, I don't want to liquidate it, I'm not going to get any money, Amazon is going to charge me. What do you think Chelsea can go back? You mentioned about checking the weight and dimensions, maybe check out your competitors. If people have in SoStock, you can see you have a lot of visibility in different kind of features, and you have some SKUs obviously selling great. Some of the SKUs are not working. What do you recommend these days to people who don't have great sales or great revenue, and if they need to try to find more profit on those dying maybe inventory? What do you think people can do?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on whether they're going to restock the product or not. It may be one of those things where if you're not going to restock the product, it's time to just lower the price and kind of cut your losses and, get some of that cash flow back to put back into your business for something that's going to be more fruitful for you. If you are going to continue to stock those products, it would be a good idea to look at, first and foremost, look at what Amazon's charging you. It's possible that you had a product that was scanned incorrectly. We've seen instances where you get that list. We actually, we have a free tool that we created for this very reason, because you want to see how you can get into a lower size tier. So you want to see what is Amazon actually charging you. You can get the fee preview report. The fee preview report, you go to reports, fulfillment, and then in the payment section of the fulfillment reports, it's the fee preview report. You download it and you can see what Amazon's currently charging you. What are they charging you for fulfillment fees? What tier do you fall into? And we've seen instances where your fees, you're bumped into the higher fee tier at 0.01 pounds.
Yeah.
Amazon bumps you. It's almost as if a fly landed on the scale at the very moment that your product was being scanned. It's kind of sneaky and it's not uncommon. You know, we're scanning. We have a free tool, and we also can do bulk scans where we can scan an entire catalog. And so we scan the entire catalog and we'll see the difference between, you know, is there an opportunity to reduce the weight? Is there an opportunity to reduce the size? What are the fee changes and how does that apply to your annual sales? What are you going to save on an annual basis so that you know what are the battles that you want to fight with Amazon? And when we see the opportunity for reducing your weight by 0.01. Oops, I'm getting an echo. Reducing your weight by 0.01. At that point, I say, you know, apply for a rescan. You can get remeasured. If you go into the search bar at Seller Central in your account and say remeasure, it will give you instructions on how to request.
Imagine you apply that to 50 or 100 SKU, and if you can find at least 10 of those, 10% or 15% of your entire catalog, you start saving each of them like 5% at the end. You're looking at maybe $50,000 to $100,000 total cost that you can actually save, keep it in your pocket, or spend the money on the advertisement. Or
and that's pure profit. You know, I just heard a story about this type of a situation where $40,000 was recovered, but you know, it's pure profit. So you'd have to sell like about, you know, $200,000 worth of additional revenue to get to the point where you're recovering $40,000, and it's just pure profit right off the top.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you look at first what do you have in your hand before, like, you know, you try to go and expand?
Yeah, and you can sometimes get some of that money back. I think it's a 90-day window where if they find they've misscanned and you can prove that, you can get some of the fees, the overcharges back from them, from Amazon.
You know, actually, we are in a very interesting time, almost end of June. I cannot believe that's almost, we finished the second quarter. And a lot of companies, they start looking at the fourth quarter, what's coming next. You know, they're trying to do some predictions. Everybody's like hoping that this year probably will be better than the last year. I'm also thinking that we see a lot of, you know, we see increase in our, you know, customers, the shippings, the fulfillments. They have like a better position, I think, than the last year. And I'm expecting personally like stronger fourth quarter. Liz, what do you recommend people who are planning their budget for the fourth quarter, you know, to spend? It's very hard to give a percentage, but would you be recommending, like, if people want to try something new, where they should be looking at? I know that, you know, the influencer programs, TikTok, you know, people talking about it. If they want to test how much budget they should be securing for that, and what should be like the main goal, actually, if they're selling on Amazon, should they be focusing on their Amazon budget, like, you know, for campaigns, PPC? If they want to look at it outside traffic, where would you go? Number one, number two options?
For outside traffic, driving traffic to Amazon, we're about to launch a new series where Cameron dives into this with some experts in the field. But TikTok is huge for driving traffic to Amazon. That would be my number one. And then I don't know about influencer program. I mean, Amazon's launching their own thing. There are influencer programs out there, but I am old, and good old SEO is still really, really powerful. And Amazon listings do show up on Google. So if you're neglecting regular old Google, you're probably doing yourself a disservice. But TikTok is still, I mean, super, super powerful if you do it right. So I would talk to Andrew Morgans about that. But if I were you, if it were me, I would talk to Andrew about it. Yeah. But back to Amazon, though, Prime Day just got announced, sort of. I mean, it's not anywhere on the socials, but everybody's talking about it. So July 11th and 12th. And usually what we do is we gather data from Prime Day sales, and then we help devise a Q4 strategy that incorporates that increased traffic that we get during Prime Day. So brands will inevitably get more traffic. Some brands don't get more sales on Prime Day, but you definitely get more traffic. There are more shoppers. You're just going to get more traffic. You're going to pay a little bit more for your clicks, and it is what it is on a key selling day. But you can take that on Amazon in particular, you can take that key selling day data, and then you can help form a better strategy for Q4 with that increased traffic. You can retarget, you can do all kinds of cool stuff. And actually, I have links I could send. There's a particular, we just aired Countdown to Prime Day, which is a tentpole event we do. And Laura Pattison, who is the ad whisperer, did talk a little bit about like what you do after Prime Day with that Prime Day data to help formulate a Q4 strategy. But you have to look at everything, right? You can't just say, you know what, I'm going to set this budget. This is the magic number for what I'm going to do with my advertising on Amazon, off Amazon, on Walmart. This is the dollar amount that's going to get it done for me. You can't do that. It doesn't work that way. So you have to look at the data. You have to look at what's performing, what's not performing. You have to make adjustments and tweaks. You have to form new campaigns. You have to explore a full funnel approach to those key selling days. Are a great time to get new eyes on your products, no matter what platform you're selling on.
And what changed from the consumer side as well, like what they were searching last year. You know, if people don't use the brand registry page, like, you know, brand analytics, you can see last year today what was the keywords, and they were on the fourth quarter, like they were like before Christmas, they were search or not just pop up, because people are start being more creative to like they know better like what they want to buy actually. So they becoming like more specifically looking for those kind of products. You know, TikTok hashtags. I'm also very old. Like I don't have a TikTok account. Even if my team like, yeah, we're gonna start your TikTok account, I'm like, yeah, maybe let's look at it next month. But you know, generally, like they need to understand like consumer side, what they're looking for, what they want to buy, because you know they have not as much as budget they had 2 years ago.
Consumers have also learned Amazon a little better, you know. So I mean, I was on a call earlier and someone said, well, somebody doesn't know if they're clicking on a sponsored product. And
I know, yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Now they do.
People know what that means. They don't, however, know that if they click on that and they don't buy it, it charges that seller for that click. They might not know that much, but they do know that the stuff that, just like on Google, right? You Google something and you ignore the top results because those are sponsored results. And that's not necessarily the information you look for. Amazon actually does a lot better job of putting stuff at the top of search that's actually relevant to what you search for. No shade against Google, love you guys. But what I have noticed, I moved to Charleston, West Virginia a year ago, and the buyer behavior here is way, way different than I lived in Richmond, Virginia before. Virginia and West Virginia are two different states. If you are tuning in from somewhere, actually, I talk to people in California that don't know that, but people shop a lot on just someone's own e-commerce website, whether it's through Shopify or whether it's through WooCommerce or whatever. I've been talking a lot with Buy with Prime with Amazon because they're trying, you know, I mean, that's just a cool feature. I actually sent them a list of websites I buy from and said, could you talk to these people about letting me pay with my Prime account? But there are cool programs like that where, because Amazon recognizes, and Walmart and every other marketplaces recognizes that people are getting a lot more savvy about shopping online.
And they have more options. They have more options, you know, absolutely.
More options, and other marketplaces are getting better. I can remember years ago, like 2013, and I downloaded Wish, and I was like, and I had a bunch of nieces at the time, and I was trying to put together a dress up box, and you could get cheap stuff, and that was great. And, you know, I thought I had discovered something that nobody ever knew about, but I mean, so many online marketplaces.
And then they all retarget you. Like if you go to Nike.com, Adidas.com, Puma, Skechers, whatever the brand you're looking for, they retarget you on Facebook, Instagram, email list. They find you somehow. Like, that's like it's actually how crazy it is. And before you go back to Amazon, actually what you want to buy, maybe they find you and you go to their website. They make it more easier. Like, most of the people they buy things on mobile, and now Apple Pay is in the checkout. A few years ago we were talking about like, why is it so nice to have like Amazon, because like you have a registered credit card in another website, you need to log in everything, you need to put your credit card information, you're not sure if that's safe or not, but now you can easily. I was flying yesterday somewhere, and then I could actually purchase a Wi-Fi through the Apple Pay. I didn't have to put my credit card. How easy it is. Right?
What was that?
It's American Airlines. It's it's just like, it makes it so easy. Like, you're offline and then you do that. So it's crazy. But we're going to look at actually the fees now. Fourth quarter is coming. A lot of people, they know that the FBA fees are going to increase. Chelsea, what do you think people should be doing? They're about to place an order. I highly recommend them. There are a lot of like new service providers that they kind of start doing like a drop shipping kind of from Amazon, from China to Amazon fulfillment centers. But now what we see with Amazon is that they don't allow you to send all your inventory in one location because of, the domestic transportation charges are like extremely high, and they want you to start distributing to some of them New Jersey, some of them Florida. Yes, California is still big, but they're also asking you to send the Midwest. So we see a lot of, even if some of our customers, they create 300 units shipment, Amazon gives them 5 different locations for the delivery. That increased the check-in process time. That increased the shipping cost. Obviously Midwest is higher, or the East Coast from China. So Chelsea, what people should be looking at when they place a new order? Everybody's going to start placing new orders for the fourth quarter, and the FBA fees are changing. Give me a couple of like tips that people should be looking into before they place an order or after they place an order to calculate their profits. What is the good tips from your side?
Yeah, I mean, to increase profits, you should be looking at your container or your carton, container as well, your carton, container, and pallet optimization. So when you have your cartons developed, when you're creating your product, it's usually developed by your supplier, and your supplier is usually getting the boxes that are readily available. Those might not be the best boxes for your product and your pallets for profitability. We have created a tool, a profit, or rather a carton pallet optimizer tool that is basically, it looks at your unit dimensions and your pallet dimensions and reverse engineers to the best carton size so that you get as many units per carton and as many units per pallet. Because if you are going to a third party, if you're shipping, if you have to send inventory to a third party logistics, and it has to be then, repackaged, every carton has to have a label on it. And so you get, carton pull fees, carton labeling fees, you get palletizing fees. If you have a third party logistics within your supply chain, there's just a lot of fees. So if you reduce the number of cartons you have, you reduce the number of pallets you have by optimizing those things, then you're going to reduce your storage, your shipping, your handling fees. So I would say that's one of those things to do starting now.
We got making sure those are within the Amazon standards. Amazon is being very strict with that, actually. Like, if you're exceeding even 1 inch, they can refuse the cargo. We see that a lot of those things are happening. People are doing those things, but they need to understand, like, what will be the results.
Yeah, and also not maxing out. It's interesting because the limitation for cartons is 25 inches on any one side. The problem with that, in the US, pallets are 48 inches, 40 by 48 inches. Yeah. So if you have a 25-inch carton, you're not going to be able to fit 2 cartons on there without going over. So 24 inches is actually the limit with which, we recommend. But again, using a carton pallet optimizer is, and we can share the link that you can drop into the show notes, but using an optimizer will help you to make sure that you're not wasting that space when you do ship your products over. You know, we've seen people whose volume usage, which is, you know, the entire space that your pallet can take up, their volume usage is, you know, 60%, you know, where it should be at least 80%. Can't always get 100%, but as close as possible.
There's so many details that they can look.
Yeah.
Look, guys, it's been already like 55 minutes. Before I even go live, I was talking to Liz that we can talk about like forever about like all these like dots that people should be careful about, like fourth quarter. If people think that it's too early to consider about like fourth quarter, I don't think so. They should be really considered, especially if they're private label sellers. They should be understanding things are like taking longer than usual in China supply chain. Still, we see a lot of you know, lack of raw materials. The employees. They'll be start going to vacation. I think people should be start thinking about ordering their fourth quarter orders. If they can repack things, if they can relabel, if they can save a little bit of everything, like 3 to 5%, it's not hurting to have an additional cost and budget for their for their advertisement marketing budgets. I think that's a really good way to reconsider everything. It's not something fun to do it, by going through your entire catalog and then see what makes you money, what won't make you money, understand, see the pain points, and then try to fix them and make it more profitable is definitely going to give you more boost and more fun to run your business. And hopefully it's going to be a much better year, I think, 2024 for the cash flows, and the interest rates are going to go down and have more money in the market so they can invest more. But I think the 2023 year of the profitability, and using that profit that you find extra in the right marketing channels and right advertisement channels. I think that's a good way to finish this webinar. Thank you so much, Liz. Thank you so much, Chelsea, for being here and joining this webinar. And hopefully everybody has more understanding about this, supply chain profitability, and more importantly, how they can use their budgets. Thank you so much, guys.
Awesome.
Broadcast.